As I said earlier, unfortunately, Matt Rack wasn't able to join us this evening because of pressing business related to the Grenfell inquiry. But Mick Holder from the Waltham Forest Trades Council is going to say a few words and obviously relate a few of the things that Matt would have referred to and talk about some of the importance of the worker engagement. And just to say, Mick has really been a driving force of getting this meeting together. So very much thanks to Mick and getting this issue raised on our Trades Council, and Mick's a big health and safety advocate as well, which is another important discussion within the whole climate change debate. So I'll hand over to you, Mick, if you're ready.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah,
Great.
just to warn everybody, Mick won't be on screen. He hasn't got a camera, so
you'll be grateful for that.
Okay,
so my name's Mick. I'm an NUJ journalist delegate to Waltham Forest Trades Council. I've been supporting the Trades Council for a good number of years, and I've been working in the field of occupational and environmental health and safety and climate change for what feels like a lifetime or two. I foolishly volunteered to take some notes this evening so that I could write a report of it. But I don't think even if I knew shorthand that I would have been able to keep up with Assad's machine gun speech that he gave. I think Waltham Forest Trades Council would support everything that Assad said. And if I'm wrong in saying that, I'm sure someone will put me right there. I've got two kind of jobs, really. One is to try and cover a bit of what Matt might have said, and also to sort of add a bit about the Trades Council and where we might be going. So I'm personally quite disappointed that Matt isn't speaking tonight, because I'm sure that what he had to say puts the issue of climate change and the effect on workers clearly into perspective, because firefighters have already been fighting the effects of climate change for a good number of years. And you've only got to think back at the floods that we've experienced locally. When I say locally, in the UK, and also the fires that we've been experiencing. And the people that have been dealing with that have been the emergency services and also the fire brigades, the fire officers. And that there has been loss of life to fire officers around the world, I think in California. And it's also worth noting that British firefighters have been to the Mediterranean to help fight against the fires that were threatening. I think I seem to recall that they were definitely at the Athens, the fire that was threatening part of Athens. But I might be wrong on that. But clearly there is this is a sector of the workforce that is feeling it now. And I think that Matt would mention the fact that this is in an environment whereby we've had austerity and attacks on the public sector, cuts to fire stations around the country, and even in London. And what we face is not the situation with climate change getting better. We face that getting worse, and yet we see a reduction in a number of people that are there to actually help to deal with that. And I'm sure he would have raised all of those issues. I will read out a couple of quotes from Matt, because this is from the horse's mouth. He's previously said, or recently said, after the publication of the IPCC report, firefighters here and across the world are on the front line of the climate crisis. We see the effects of climate change every time we fight wildfires, and save people from floods. And we will fight as hard as we can for politicians to wake up and take notice. As a humanitarian service, we cannot stand by and watch this happen. The IPCC report confirms that human activity is responsible for climate change, and we are running out of time to save ourselves. But this requires fundamental political, social, and economic change around the world, and those in power have so far failed in the face of this immense challenge. It also tallies closely with the firefighters across the world's experience on a daily basis, a planet rapidly breaking down. Now, we have a view of the bigger picture that humanity has a final chance to act before huge devastation occurs. And then commenting locally about a local thing, he said, we see the effect of climate change in Waltham Forest recently. And he says the Waltham Forest COP26 coalition meeting is an important step to ensuring we fight for climate justice within our own communities to build pressure and at the national and international levels. So I think they were important words for us to hear tonight, even if Matt wasn't here, and they are quotes from Matt via the FBU. So as to why we're here, obviously we're Waltham Forest Trades Council. Some of us are anyway, and what we thought we'd try and do is draw local activists from around the borough and a bit further perhaps, and try and get everybody to agree that there's a need to support the activities that are going to be happening in the run into and at the COP, and that we might be able to get something together locally once or twice before that event. So this was the opening event to try and draw everybody together and see whether or not we can't get together in the near future and have a meeting where we actually sit down and discuss what we might get up to locally. And we've got opportunities locally, given that we suffered the floods, the flooding that Walthamstow I don't think has ever seen before recently. So we thought we'd form a COP coalition so that it became an inclusive kind of body. And I think that if people want to get involved in the COP coalition, if people either put their email address in the chat or they send an email to the actual Waltham Forest COP26 coalition email address, which someone will kindly put in the chat at some stage. Perhaps Mike, you might do that for us. And then if we could all get together. I'd like to underline our line on all of this, which is that the latest figures that we've got, which I think are from 2019, say that there are, in 2019, there were 6.44 million trade unionists in the UK. So that's a huge number of people. Not only are there is there that number of trade unionists, but there's also all of the shop floor representatives like shop stewards, health and safety representatives, equality representatives, who have a possibility to actually be able to talk to their members and to try and get them on board with a whole range of activities. Obviously, we're here talking about climate change tonight. Now, we're not naive about the problems with trade unions and the issue of climate change. There isn't universal agreement on energy issues, far from it. But there are there are, historically, there have been things that the trade unions have done or tried to do that that are clearly positive climate action things. For instance, ASLEF has had, that's the train drivers union, ASLEF has had a policy of electrification of the railways for a hell of a long while. They're not in charge of the railways, they're just representing those people, the train drivers, but they have been pushing for government to actually do it. And unfortunately, what tends to happen with governments is that they make promises about doing something with regards to the electrification of lines, and then when things get a bit economically tight, those promises tend to go out of the window fairly quickly. I agree. Yep, I got you, Sam. So the role of trade unions is an important one. It's not exclusive. We want to get involved with, which is why we've invited XR and others to come along and speak to come along and speak this evening. So Sam wants me to shut up, so I'm going to do just that. Bye.